Here. This is Joy Fink. She's going to be speaking to you about mental health and the stigmas surrounding them. She is the director and founder of Will Find Hope, an organization that goes against mental stigma and trying to help people realize it's okay to get help. It's okay to seek out when you have any sort of mental challenges going on. From there, those of you that have pamphlets, you'll find at the back there's a few pages for you to jot down notes or questions. After your 3 periods at the end in the auditorium, you're going to ask any questions you have to the panelists. Other than that, please welcome Joy Fink.
All right. Hi, ladies. How are we?
Tired.
Tired? All right. I can be able to understand that. I'm right there with you. I don't do mornings. All right. So, as my room monitor said, I'm going to be talking to you about mental health and the stigmas around it, but more specifically, my mental health and what I've gone through. Okay. So, you guys get to hear my story. All right. So, and yes, I had to put Joy on there being that my name is literally Joy. All right, so I'm going to start off with asking you, who is the character that Joy is looking at? Do you know?
Anxiety.
Anxiety. Good. All right, so I have had anxiety since I was about 12 or 13 years old. So I've had it for a very long time. And for me, I dealt with it mostly because of taking tests. I had a huge thing when it came to my anxiety and taking tests that I would start shaking, to where now actually with me being a college student, I've gotten accommodations where I have extended test time just because I don't do well with tests. Okay. It's not good. It literally makes my mind start racing and I can't focus. Another thing is being left alone. All right. Me being left alone, I always had a problem with it. So when it came to me being left alone, I would always find a way for me to be with like my mom, for instance, just because I hated being left alone. Or I would annoy the crap out of my older brother because I hated being left alone. So it was always a problem for me. And which is actually ironic, which you will see in a couple slides. So another thing is failure. To me, failure meant that I was never enough or that I was never doing enough. And it always heightened my anxiety with thinking about that and just how much it would hit me with it. So it was always a problem, to where even me being now 27, that it's still a problem at times. And it's never easy. And that's where I had to change my mind frame with going to therapy in order for me to be able to learn a different way when it comes to how to look at failure. And the first thing that I learned is that failure, it's not failure, it's making mistakes, which we all make mistakes, don't we? Yeah, we all make mistakes. I mean, as I said, I'm 27, I still do. And that was where even I had to learn that with mistakes, it helps us to be able to learn. It helps us to be able to learn different ways for us to approach a topic, us being able to learn how in a situation to go about it. But even from beyond that point, I learned that it helps to encourage growth, because without mistakes, how are we to learn what it is for us to be able to, in a way, fix or being able to make better the next time when that same situation comes up or something similar. So now there are a few stigmas that I experienced with this. And the first two kind of go hand in hand. And so the first two being that I was told I was just scared, or I was told that anxiety is the same thing as fear. Ladies, no, it's not. All right. When it comes to feeling scared or having fear, it is completely different. And where the most that will happen is maybe it's like your adrenaline is going, or it's, whether it's you're on like a roller coaster, or for those of you that like horror movies, your adrenaline is going with that. That is feeling fear or scared. Anxiety is when it also affects you physically, where it makes it to where like you start shaking, or that your mind just can't sit still. So it makes it incredibly hard to be able to focus. Another thing I was told is you don't need medicine for that. For some, you do. Because with anxiety, when you are, in my case, I was diagnosed with it, you need it to calm down. And so that's not true as far as that, yeah, you do sometimes need it. Or being told that I needed to grow up and stop being scared. And I was told that at 12 years old. No, again, that's not the case. Anxiety, you have to learn how to manage and cope with it. It's not something that goes away. And so that's what I had to learn when it came to my anxiety. Next slide, please. All right, so the next thing is PTSD. Show of hands, do you guys know what PTSD stands for? Okay, so a few of you do. So PTSD, it stands for post-traumatic stress disorder, which means that you experience a traumatic event. And from that, you feel symptoms from it. So in my case, I watched my mom being abused by my dad. And this happened when I was about 3 to 4 until I was about 5, almost 6. And it was a lot being able to watch that. And my parents never knew that I watched because I would always hide when I was watching. So watching that, I actually became a witness to it, finding out later on that I'm a survivor of domestic violence. It wasn't until I went to a seminar that I learned about this and being able to learn it. And even with that, it then expanded even more when I met my first long-term boyfriend that I dated for 4 years, all the way through high school, who abused me mentally and physically, mentally and emotionally. Luckily, with it being on a line, I never dealt with it physically. So it was all strictly through the phone when he was texting me or calling me or just as we were talking. And the hardest thing was for me to hear it and basically hearing that I wasn't enough because of him. And he actually made it to where he completely isolated me from those that I cared about, my family, my friends. He took over my entire life, basically, because of his abuse and everything I've gone through because of it. And because of it being online, like I said, I'm lucky that I never saw him in person because it might have went too physical. So I am beyond lucky for that. So one of the things that I did was I broke up with him. That way it broke me out of what I was experiencing. Good. And after that happened, I learned what love actually is. Because at that point, I was so encapsulated by what I thought love was. I thought love was me being hurt, me being told that I wasn't enough or that I wasn't doing enough. And I learned that that's not the case. And it took me having to break up with him in order for me to realize that. So the first 2 stigmas in the first part I was talking about with my parents, I was told that you have to go through it in order to be a survivor, like physically actually go through it, or that I was told that I was too young because, like I said, I was 5. It's not true. All right. Being a witness to it, you are still somebody that is considered a survivor. It doesn't matter that I didn't physically go through it. I was still a survivor. Just in the same as with my ex-boyfriend, I was told that because it was online, it wasn't real. It didn't actually happen. It wasn't real abuse. Or that because it was role-playing or us basically making stories, that again, I was told it wasn't real. It's not true. Think about it. When you read something, isn't it just as painful if, let's just say you're reading a book and a character dies? Don't you feel it? So wouldn't you think I would feel it from reading it and what my ex told me, even if it was over messages? Or if he told me it verbally? So wouldn't you think that's real? Yeah, exactly. It was real. It doesn't matter that it didn't happen physically to me. It was still very real. So like I said, those were 2 stigmas that I experienced with it. Go ahead. All right, so next one. You guys know what depression is, don't you? Mm-hmm. All right, so go ahead. So me with depression, the first sign was I began to isolate myself. And when I would get home from school, I would immediately go into my room. I didn't associate with my mom or my brother at all. I didn't talk to my friends. I didn't want to do anything. I just isolated myself in my room. I barely talked to anybody. Go ahead. The next thing is I began to self-harm. Now, when it comes to self-harm, are you guys familiar with it? All right, so I want to make sure that I clarify to you that self-harm is anything that you do to harm yourself. It does not matter what it is a way to harm yourself. So like in my case, I hurt myself on my arms, but you wouldn't know that because I don't have any scars or any markings, because all I did was I just broke the skin. I was so numb because of my depression, all I wanted was to feel something. So that was my way of doing so, was to hurt myself and breaking my skin. Okay. But I still self-harmed because I was hurting myself. Go ahead. So another thing, I didn't care about my appearance. Ladies, we care about our appearance, don't we? We care about how we look. We care about making sure that we're clean and making sure that we look good, even if it's putting our hair up into a messy bun. I didn't. I stopped caring. I stopped to where I would go to school wearing clothes that were like wrinkled and raggedy, and even to the point of having stains. I didn't care. My hair was a mess and I didn't care. And as gross as this is about to sound, I stopped even caring about showering, where I would go days without showering. Again, this was because of my depression. I stopped caring. Okay. So I was just so enveloped by this black cloud around me that, yeah, I didn't care at all. Good. All right. Another thing, cyberbullying. So when I was in 8th grade, this is when my depression started. I was cyberbullied by 2 people that were supposed to be my friends. And what ended up happening was all of a sudden on my Facebook timeline, or I'm sorry, profile, I was getting told like these ridiculous photos were like the one that I remember the most is one that said, "Congratulations, you're an idiot." Who wants to see that on their profile? And again, these are supposed to be my friends. And what made it even worse was that these 2 people were actually at the house of my best friend at the time. And not only on their profiles making the post, they then logged on to hers, making me believe that she was bullying me too. So I then ended up sending her a message saying that I didn't want to be friends anymore. It wasn't until she ended up, I think it was either later that night or the next day, she told me it wasn't her. And she told me what happened. And because of that, it made it to where it hurt. And I'll actually get into what happened with the cyberbullying here in a moment. I stopped doing enjoyable things. So when we do things that we enjoy, that makes us happy, it releases dopamine within us, which is a chemical that makes us happy. Okay. So in my line of work, I am a prevention specialist. And one of the things we like to talk about is natural highs. So things that make us naturally happy. So I would like 3 of you to tell me something that makes you naturally happy. Mm-hmm.
When I ice skate.
Okay, ice skating, good. Yeah. Color guard. Okay, one more for me. Drawing, good. All right, so in my case, it's writing. It has always been writing. And now that I have him, my cat. But writing for me, it changed, which I'll get into here in just a minute. Go ahead. So one thing was I got prescribed antidepressants. So antidepressants, they help you with learning how to manage your depression. Doesn't cure it, doesn't fix it, it helps you manage. And I had to go through trial and error because I think it was like 3 different kinds that I went through because one of them completely changed who I was. Where my nickname used to be from my stepmom, Happy, Happy, Joy, Joy, it stopped. And yes, you guys can laugh at that. I don't care. But I stopped. I literally became this person that just sulked all the time and was just depressed and sad. So, and that was not only because of the depression, but the medicine changed me. And then from there, I got changed to 2 other types of medicines because, again, the second one didn't help me either. So it does sometimes take trial and error. The next thing, bow. All right, so Bo is my older brother that I was talking about, except now you know his name. So Bo defended me on my Facebook, and I will never forget it. He actually was the first one to post telling the bullies to, again, you can laugh, stop being cowards behind their screen, but then also telling them to leave his sister alone. And if you are a younger sibling, you can understand what I'm about to say, that sometimes our older siblings, they don't like us. They don't show that they like us. This was the first time my brother did, and showing me that he loved me and that he cared about me. The second thing he did, the reason how we found out I was being cyberbullied was because he told our mom. He was the one, because he had my Facebook, he told our mom I was being cyberbullied. So what she did was she went to the police at my school, which I'm from Minooka, that the police then went and talked with those two individuals, and they were charged, where they now have on their record that they bullied someone. I'm not kidding. That I want to say it was being charged with harassment. So they now have that on their permanent record because of what they did to me. Okay. And it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for my older brother. Okay. Go ahead. Now, the last thing that happened, my favorite teacher. So my favorite teacher, he saw what was going on. And before that point, the social worker that I was working with at my school, she saw the marks on me from my self-harm and called my mom about it because she knew something was wrong. But then later on in high school, my favorite teacher, I had him for creative writing in 4 different ways all through high school. He reported it to who I worked with, the social worker, and because he knew something was wrong. My writing went dark. So that's where I'm saying that I said I was going to tell you later on what happened. My writing went dark. Okay. So he knew something was going to happen, which I'll get into here in a moment. Go ahead. So now the stigmas with this. The first one, I was told I was just sad. Ladies, I want you to understand, depression and sadness are not the same thing. We all feel sad, right? Depression is stronger. Okay? Not everybody's going to feel depressed. Depression, it also happens for a prolonged period of time. What does it mean when I say prolonged?
Like weeks, months.
Exactly. Weeks, months. It has to happen for a long period of time. Okay. So it's not just something that you wake up the next day and you're depressed. That's not how it works. All right. So it is not the same thing. And I want you to understand that. All right. The next thing I was told is I wasn't a real self-harmer. Again, what did I say self-harm means? Hurting yourself. Okay. Hence the term self-harm. So with me breaking skin, I was hurting myself. So yes, I was a real self-harmer. Just as I was told, you're just trying to be emo. That was a huge thing that started when I was in high school. And for me, when I was told that I was trying to be emo, it was when you would have like your hair dyed black, wearing all black, graphic makeup. No, I was not trying to be emo. I was showing my emotions. I felt dark inside because of how encapsulated I was by my depression. And honestly, it got to a point that when somebody would tell me that, I would look at them and say, yeah, I'm emo. It's because emo means I'm emotional. Emo is short for emotional is what I would tell them. And yes, they would laugh a little bit, but I was true. So it wasn't I was trying to be something. I was showing how I felt. Now, the next one I was told is that I was attention seeking. No, I wasn't. I was not attention seeking at all. Again, I was feeling this way. I was just so encapsulated because of the bullying I was experiencing that then it made it to where it was hard. And that's how I felt, and feeling depressed because of all of this that I was dealing with. And then the last thing, that cyberbullying, is it real? Ladies, is it real?
Yeah.
Any form of bullying, even cyberbullying, it's still bullying. It doesn't matter that it happened online. Okay? When you are tearing somebody down, it is still bullying, even if it's online. Okay? So yeah, it is very real. And honestly, kind of hurts more. I am beyond lucky that I had 2 friends that told those bullies to take it off my profile. One was my ex-best friend. So ex meaning I'm no longer friends with her anymore. The other one, unfortunately, she was killed in a car accident when I was in high school. But I am so beyond lucky that she's also part of the reason why that's no longer on my profile anymore. Okay, good. Now, when I was talking about my favorite teacher knowing something was going to happen, this is what happened. Go ahead. So, freshman year of high school, it was a lot. And again, the same situation happened. I started getting bullied by two friends. This time, it was two friends that were supposed to be my best friends. So think about it. With our best friends, they know our darkest secrets, right? They know every inch of who we are, what makes us happy, what makes us tick, what makes us feel comfortable, right? In their case, they actually began to use that against me, where it got to a point where I would get like text messages from them calling me and harassing me. Or I would be going through the hallways and they would be using slur words towards me, which I cannot tell you, but they would just find any way to be able to break me down. Well, it got to a point where I started to ignore it. I let it just roll off my shoulders because I didn't want to go through it. Go ahead. It wasn't until this happened. So when I was 15 years old, Heather, who I'm talking about, she was my chosen cousin. And there's a reason I say was, because when I was 15 years old, so she was the closest thing I had to an older sister. And when I was 15, 10 days, not only after my birthday, but after I saw her, she was found in my aunt's car, overdosed from heroin. Yeah. Yeah. And I do want to make sure I add in this tidbit. It was here in Braidwood. And so it was a lot. And so go ahead. After this point, the bullying got worse to where because nothing was affecting me, that then what they started to do was they used the one thing against me they knew would hurt me. And when they overheard me telling my friends at the time what happened to my cousin, within days, I got a text message telling me to go die like my cousin did. Yeah, it hurt. It still hurts thinking about it. And so I did the one thing that I shouldn't have done, and that was ditching school because I didn't want to hear it anymore. By this point, their bullying started to hurt me again, just because I was so depressed after losing the one person that was like a sister to me. So then what ended up happening, I tried to end my life 4 times. I tried to commit suicide. And those 4 times, the first 3, I was so numb that I didn't care what I did, okay? But the 4th time was when it clicked for me that I was doing something wrong. I am beyond lucky that the 4 times I tried that I woke up. And that was when, by the 4th time, because I was so scared, I told my mom. And I couldn't verbally tell her. I actually had to write it out in a poem because I couldn't tell her verbally. Go ahead. And within days, she took me to St. Joe's in Joliet, where I was then evaluated and I became a patient where I was there for 5 days to get treatment because of me trying to commit suicide. And my father was a part of this, even though he scared the crap out of me because of what happens between my parents and just everything, that he was a part of it in the beginning. And he eventually ended up falling out after I got out of the hospital. But the worst thing about me being in the hospital was that I was there on Mother's Day. How would you feel as a mom going to see your 15-year-old daughter in the hospital because she tried to end her life? I can see the look on all your faces. It still breaks my heart. And that when I told her the first thing she did after she pulled me out of school, that because I was still in school when I got called out of resource that I was going home. And then that's when she took me to St. Joe's. That the first thing she did was grab me tight and was crying. The face that she made will be cemented in my head forever. And I want you all to understand that to this day, I regret that decision of trying to end my life. I regret it. It wasn't good for me to do. And I do not recommend doing it at all. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So the stigmas I was told was that I was just saying that so others feel bad for me. What I didn't realize at the time, I was crying out for help. Okay. So while I was telling others how I felt, my subconscious was trying to cry out for help. It knew that I needed help. The other things I was told is that suicide is the easy way out, or what's not listed, that it's the coward's way out. Ladies, I didn't know any other way. I wanted the pain to end. I didn't want to feel that pain anymore. And honestly, I wanted to be with my cousin. She was my safe place. So I made the wrong decision of trying to end my life. And so, no, it wasn't the easy way out. Just in the same that I was told that I'm selfish for doing that and that I don't care about those that I leave behind. I was so enamored by what was going through my head that no, I was not considering anybody else. I was considering myself, but that's not me being selfish. It was, I didn't think. All I could think about was I wanted it to end. I didn't want to feel it anymore. Okay. Which again was the wrong choice that I could have done. Go ahead. All right. So the next thing is that I had self-image problems. All right, so if you look at me, I'm not small. I never have been, honestly. I have been overweight since I was 3 or 4 years old. So I've always been big. And a lot of my self-image problems came from the abuse that not only I experienced, but I witnessed because of my dad. It also came from the bullying that I experienced and me having low self-esteem. I just, from all of that, ended up developing low self-esteem. I also hated my body size. I always have. I hate being big. I mean, I still hate it. But it just made it to where even I started to believe what the bullies told me, to the point where I started bullying myself. There was a time in where like I would go shopping and there would be something like a pretty dress I would put on that my best friend at the time, my mom, were with me. I would immediately go and take it off and tell them, no, I don't want it. I look too fat in it. Even though they were saying to me that I look good. So I was literally bullying myself too, after believing what they had told me. So this ended up developing, go ahead, for me to have a binge eating disorder. What does it mean to binge? Keep doing it. Yeah. I would literally keep eating to the point where if I wanted, like, let's just say something sweet, I would go in my room and eat it and then hide the wrapper so my mother never knew. That was how bad it was. And what ended up happening was I started to change. I started to change the way that I was eating. I started to do like protein shakes was the first thing I tried. Then I went on a 3-month cleanse when I got older to cleanse my body so that then it can start learning how to break down like sugars and carbs better. But the biggest thing that helped was me learning, was me wanting better for myself, where because of me wanting better for myself and wanting to be healthy, that I'm actually very happy to be able to say that happened about a year ago and I've lost over 100 pounds because of it. So thank you. So, again, I have always had this body image issue. I mean, even to the point where I have family on both sides that have been overweight, that even they would look down on me because of me being overweight. Or I had a doctor at 12 years old tell me that if I didn't lose weight, because at that point I was considered obese, that I was going to die at 18. Who wants to hear that from a doctor? And again, that scared me. Go ahead. But the stigmas that I experienced with this was I was told that I would be pretty if I was thinner. All right, I want you ladies to understand it does not matter the way that you look. And it took me being an adult to realize that, okay? You, as far as you being pretty, you being beautiful, it comes from your personality and the way that you present yourself. It has nothing to do with your looks. I don't care what media tells you, what other people tell you. It is how you present yourself and how you feel about yourself, okay? Just in the same as I was told, and this is what I was told, is that no guy wants a girl that looks like a whale. Yes, that is literally the term that I was told. And I want to say that it doesn't matter if it's a guy, if it's a partner, like whatever it is, again, that's not true. Because if they truly like you and they want to be in a relationship with you, they are going to do it because they like everything about you. Doesn't matter the way that you look. Just in the same as being told that my friends pitied me because I was fat. No, they didn't pity me. They wanted to be friends with me because of who I was and how I treated them as a friend. And that is what true friendship is. It has nothing to do with them pitying me. Okay, good.
13 minutes, 3 slides.
Thank you. So now this is a new one that I'm starting to introduce. So I have what's called borderline personality disorder, or BPD, which in other words means that my emotions fluctuate quickly. It is literally 0 to 100 in a second, and it's every single emotion. All right. So I'm not going to go into all of these, but you guys can be able to read them. That these are all of the things that I have experienced with my borderline. And one of them that was the hardest for me, well, yeah, actually one of them is just the fluctuation in emotions, but also that it would affect my mental health. So if my sadness was elevated, so was my depression. If my fear was elevated, my anxiety was even more elevated. And it made it to where even I had abandonment issues. It also made it hard for me to form relationships because I didn't know how to control my emotions, that then I would take it out in the wrong way on people and from friends. And my brother was the one that got the biggest out of them, because me feeling like I was abandoned by our dad, being that he was the only male in the house, he got the short end of the stick because of me feeling abandoned. Just in how with my dad never saw me with the fluctuation in my emotions. Honestly, I would most of the time isolate in my room at his house. I didn't really show my emotions. So when I was young, he didn't believe that I had BPD, and he wasn't a part of my treatment because of it. Now he believes it, but he didn't back then. And so that was where I had to go through specific therapy to be able to help me. So I had to go through therapy that taught me how to be more mindful and self-aware of my emotions, which is where I'm at now. I am beyond happy and lucky that I was paired with a therapist that understands BPD and has helped me be more mindful and self-aware, which I am very happy to say that she has been my therapist for 5 years now. And I wouldn't change that for the world. Okay. And it makes it so much easier having a therapist that does understand. So the stigmas that come with this is that no therapist wants to work with somebody with BPD. And that's actually anybody in social services. And why that is because people like me with this disability, this personality disorder, it makes it hard to be able to help them just because of the fluctuation in emotion. And social workers, therapists, anyone in social services don't want to put up with it. And honestly, if they put in the work and they want to help that person, they will. Hence where I said, how long have I been with my therapist? 5 years. She put in the work. Just like I was told too, that I'm too hard to form relationships with. That's not true. And I'll get into that here in a little bit. Same thing as far as me with not being with somebody not wanting to be with me because of my fluctuation in emotions or forming that relationship with me. I'll get into that here in a minute too. Go ahead. So, yep. So now the last thing. Show of hands, how many of you have heard of MS? Okay, so a couple of you. MS is an autoimmune disease where your immune system mistakenly attacks the myelin sheath within you, which is the protective guard around your, I can't think right now, around your nerves. So it's in your central nervous system. All right. And I've actually only had this for a year. Who wants to get told at 26 that they have this? Ladies, it makes it to where I can't even be in extreme hot or cold temperature. Otherwise, I start feeling symptoms. I start feeling weak and I can't function correctly because it also hits your cognition. So I also developed what's called optic neuritis, which means that it affected my eyes. Ladies, I actually went nearly blind. I started dealing with that one of my eyes, my vision started to get blurry. And then I was in line at medieval times to celebrate my aunt's birthday when all of a sudden I grabbed my mom's arm and say, I can't see. Because one eye went completely blind, the other went down to 5 to 10% vision. Now, I didn't exactly want that at 26, but I am beyond lucky that I went to a place called Mayo Clinic and that's in Minnesota, that I got plasma treatment, that I am now able to obviously see all of you. And that is because I'm at 50% vision in both eyes. And that is because of that treatment. Okay. Now, another thing is I had to learn how to walk again. Stress is a huge thing that hits MS. And for me, I dealt with 2 stressful situations that inflamed my brain so much, I forgot how to walk. Picture it, me at 26, having to learn as if I was a toddler how to walk again. Not easy. Or me having to, when this first happened, that my mom and my now best friend having to literally lift me out of bed because I couldn't get out of the bed. That was how bad it was. But I went through physical therapy to be able to help me. And it's still a long journey to go because there's no cure. As of right now, there's no cure. So I have this for the rest of my life. And the biggest things that come with this that have helped me is having good and genuine friendships or relationships in my life. I have literally had to pull away from people in my life that were not good or genuine for me or there when I needed them to be. And honestly, that happens where even I pulled away from my own blood. My aunt, I don't talk to because I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to hear her and her negativity. So that sometimes even happens with family, and I've had to. Just in the same as having good medicine. I am beyond lucky that the medicine that I'm on has made it to where, as of an MRI I had a few months ago, I have no new or active lesions, which in other words, those are what cause my symptoms. So me being on good medicine has helped, just in the same as letting myself grieve my old life. So with me having this disease now, I realize that there are a lot of things that I may have to change. So like one of the things is I had to come to terms, and this came with grieving, that as of right now, there may be no chance of me being able to have my own children. Because with me, I am highly active. And when it comes to being pregnant, I can't be on my medicine when I'm pregnant. And so with me being highly active, as we all know, do we always get pregnant the first time? No, it takes time. So think about it. If it takes months, do you think I'm going to be okay? No, I can't go months without my medicine. That's right now. And I'm not at that point of having kids yet, so I don't know. Go ahead. Now, the stigmas I experienced. So I literally had at one point where somebody was trying to hold up 3 fingers to me and asking how many fingers he was holding up. And my vision was worried because I was tired. Okay. My days, I start off with half a tank of gas. In other words, half amount of energy. Okay. So it is extremely hard. And at that point, I was tired. So he was literally making fun of my vision. Just like I've had people that have questioned, why do I need a handicap placard? I need it because sometimes I don't do well. I can't go to where if I'm really feeling my symptoms, I can't go from the end of the parking lot at Jewel all the way up and walking up to Jewel. So yeah, I need that handicap placard. Or that there's one time that I had 2 steps and I was beyond tired after, and I barely did anything that day, but I was still tired. I was in the electronic shopping cart at Walmart, and a woman was telling her friend, asking, why does she need that?
Why are people so nosy?
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. But again, they are judging the book by its cover. Just because I'm young doesn't look like I need something like that. But that's why you don't, because you don't know what somebody's going through. And that's where with this, not all diseases or disabilities are visual. So she didn't know that I had a disease and that I was tired. So this is all of the different stigmas that I've experienced in just the last year, ladies, the last year since I've had this. Go ahead. How long? 5, thank you. So hold on. I want to ask you ladies some questions, okay? So if you agree, meaning that this would be the case, would I have 2 best friends of over 10 years if I was too hard to get along with? I want you to give your neighbor a fist bump if you agree that I wouldn't be hard to get along with. So in other words, what I'm asking is if it was that hard, you would disagree. If it's not hard, then you would agree that I would have friends of over 10 years. And actually, funny enough, actually, I lied as far as the two best friends. I have 4. 3 of them are here today. 3 of them are here today.
Okay, yeah, this is here.
Which actually, one of them you will see on the panel later today.
Now I gotta find out.
Sean. All right, next one. So, the next one. Would I be in a committed relationship with my boyfriend of 5 years if it wasn't worth me being in a relationship? So, if I am worth having a relationship with, I want you to snap. Cute. So, this comes with me having to learn how to manage my emotions and manage how to cope with them. Now, the next one. Would any of you had thought I battled through and continue to battle through it when you came into this room today with me only being 27? Give me a thumbs up if you think that that was the case before you came in.
Kind of in the middle.
Kind of in the middle?
Everyone has issues.
Everyone has their own story. You never know what somebody's going through. Just in the same as that you wouldn't think me at 27 would have gone through all of that. Okay? Go ahead. Now, the last one. Do you consider me successful and have overcome my obstacles? Stand up if you think I have. Well, thank you. And again, it took me having to learn how to manage and cope. Okay? This wasn't something that I did overnight. All right?